Hi, I'm Maya from Bookworm Dreams and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to talk about my February TBR. There are many cool readathons happening in February and I decided to participate in 3 of them. And besides that, I have other books that I have to read, so my February TBR is quite large, which is very, very smart of me considering this is the shortest month of the year. Also, very funny because Christina and I talked about only picking 3 books to read each month, hopefully books from our own shelves, and that did not happen. Anyway, Christina is doing the 3-book thing, but she's also very loosey-goosey with her TBR currently. So this video is just going to be about my humongous book pile that I have to read for February. So the first readathon that I'm going to participate in is the Shiftathon, which is a readathon that is happening from the 16th to the 22nd of February, and it is created and co-hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes and her friend Matthew Shirapa. I will leave the link to her announcement video down below. And basically the goal is to read shifter books or urban fantasy. Not all urban fantasy has shifters, but basically urban fantasy books with various shifters. That's why it's called the Shiftathon. So I picked only 1 book for this readathon, and that is Hounded by Kevin Hearn. I might have mispronounced that, I'm sorry. Basically, this is book 1 in the Iron Druid series, in which we follow Atticus Sullivan. He is the last of the great druids, and he is really, really old, but he looks very young. So he lives in Arizona, and he runs a bookshop, and he sometimes shapeshifts to hang out with his dog. Basically, he has a lot of power and a very, very magical sword with a very complicated name. And he's hunted or hounded, I guess, by a Celtic god who really wants the sword because it's a very powerful sword. And this book actually fits 3 of the prompts that Sam mentioned in her video, even though the rule is to read 1 book per prompt. So for anybody who hasn't filled in some of the prompts, this book fits for the prompt to read a book with shifters other than werewolves, to read a book with vampires, because in the Goodreads summary it says that Atticus has a lawyer who is a vampire, okay, and to read a book with a paranormal creature from a religion, because we do have a Celtic god here, so fits that prompt. The second readathon I'm going to participate in is the Fantasy Romance February. This is actually a month-long event with reading sprints, author interviews, and different panels that are happening on YouTube and other places on the internet. Basically, the goal is to read fantasy romance, and there are prompts. I think you have different versions of prompts. So you have for low fantasy, high fantasy, and stuff. But I just picked 1 book that I'm going to read for this readathon, and that is this humongous thing, which is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is book 4 in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. And in this book, we follow Nesta and Cassian. So throughout the series, those two have had a very antagonistic relationship, and they have both been traumatized by the stuff that happened in the previous books and in their general history. So in this book, we sort of follow 2 of them dealing, hopefully, with their trauma and getting together. This book is humongous. It has 750 pages, but it's I think it's going to be a quick read because all of Sarah J. Maas's books are very if they pull you in and they don't let you go until you read it, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. The third readathon I am participating in February is Blackathon, which was created by Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. And the goal of this readathon is to read books by Black authors. It's a month-long readathon, so you have a whole month to do stuff. There are also different events. I think they're going to have movie watch-alongs. There's going to be Instagram challenges, and there's going to be a week-long readathon and a 24-hour readathon. But basically the goal is to read different books by Black authors. Now there are different teams. Of course, I am team science fiction and fantasy, and I chose 3 books to read for this readathon. The first book is The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. This is book 3 in the Broken Earth trilogy. Basically, I've started this before I'm like 30% in. I've been reading it for a couple of months now. And in this book, we follow Esun as she travels around her world looking for her daughter. And the world is basically falling apart. It's going through its 5th season, and it means like volcanoes and earthquakes and everything's basically falling apart. And there's the start of the, it's not called nuclear winter if there isn't a nuclear war before it, but basically the ice age is slowly starting, and Esun is going around trying to find her daughter and trying to deal with the powers that she has, her history, her trauma, and everything. Since book 3, I can't really tell you much other than what I just said, but yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this. I've been stuck on the daughter parts because the daughter is in the company of a very, very evil person, and seeing how that person is affecting her and her just personality development, it's very difficult. So yeah, this book actually fits 2 of the prompts that are picked for Team SFF, and that is the prompt to read a book that deals with loyalty and betrayal, and to read a book with a trans spectrum representation. So if you need books for these 2 prompts, here's one. Another book I'm going to read for this readathon is Do You Dream of Terra 2 by Tammy O. And this is a book in which we follow a group of 6 teenagers and 3 veteran astronauts are traveling through space to a new planet that is very Earth-like, and they're going there to set up the planet for human colonization. And I guess on their way there, they're figuring out that space is very, very dangerous. That's all I gathered from the summary. Also, I'm using this book for the Buzzword Reading Challenge, which is created by Kayla from Books and Lala. I will leave her link down, her announcement video for the challenge down below. Basically, each month you get like a buzzword challenge, and I challenged myself to use only science fiction books for this one. So the challenge for February is to read a book that has a pronoun in it, and you is a pronoun, so it fits. And the 3rd book I am using for this readathon is Dawn by Octavia Butler. Now, this is a book club book for a book club that Christina and I are in with a couple of our friends, where we read books from the Read Harder Challenge list of prompts. And this book was picked by a friend of ours, and she picked it for a prompt, an award-winning book from the year you were born. And basically in Dawn we follow a group of humans. Actually, Lilith is the one that was mentioned in the summary. The humans basically were on the verge of extinction because of war, and a group of aliens called Oankali, sorry, I think it's that. Basically, they were saved by the Oankali and put into sleep for several centuries while the Oankali learn about humans. And now they are bringing them back to Earth so they can resettle and repopulate and, get humanity going again. But they're going to do that with the aliens because the aliens survive by, what was the word they used? Not mating. It was like just basically using, so the aliens use primitive races or beings for survival because they somehow merge their DNAs. And so they have to, I guess, survive together. And I guess it's the story of how they do that. I don't know. I haven't read it. So Christina has. She says it's really good. So I'm looking forward to that one. So besides all the readathon books that I've mentioned, I have a couple of other things that I have to read. So Christina and I are doing Sebastian de Castell Great Coke's read-along, and we are now on book 2. So book 2 is Night's Shadow, and in it we follow Falkio as he's trying to discover who murdered the Duke and his family in his... See, I don't know if it's in his land or land in general, because there are many dukes in this world. So anyway, someone kills the Duke and his family, and now Falkio has to discover who did it. He was also poisoned, if I remember correctly, so he has to figure out how to save himself. And there's also chaos and civil war around him, and he has to function in that world with his friends Bresty and Cast. And also there is the whole mission they are on from the king from the previous book. So yeah, It's going to be interesting, it's going to be fast-paced and adventurous, and I'm really looking forward to it. Also, I'm technically participating in the Joe Abercrombie read-along, and I haven't read anything, so I started The Blade itself. I'm like at 10% now. I have to read The Blade itself and book 2, which is Before They Are Hanged. What I gathered from what I've read so far from The Blade itself, we follow 3 characters. We follow Logan, who just, I guess, is the lone survivor of his, is it band of mercenaries or whatever, and now he is on his way to meet a mage of some sort. Then we follow Glodka, who was, before the war, was a very up-and-coming officer in the king's army, but he was captured and tortured, and now he works as a torturer himself in the king's Inquisition, something like that. And basically he is tasked by his superior to arrest this very important dude. I think he is in charge of the what do you call those financial thingies, the mints. He's in charge of the mints of the kingdom, to basically arrest him and falsely accuse him of doing something. So he's doing that, and then we follow another officer, a captain, who basically he's currently training to participate in like a king's tournament because his father wants him to win it, but he's very awful, and he's very like full of himself. And Christina and I are also reading Sarah Gailey's backlist, so I have to read Magic for Liars for that. And yeah, I also want to do a themed vlog with space horror stuff, but that's like already 14 books and I don't know how to fit that in my reading schedule. But so those are all the books that I want to read for February. Wish me luck, I guess. If you've read any of these, please do let me know down below in the comments. And I don't know, just I guess wish me luck. If you like this video, you can press the like button, you can subscribe to our channel, press the bell button to get notifications for our new videos. There are some important links in the description down below, so please do check them out. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!